But Kyle, set the stage for me of how a cut-down day looks like in an NFL locker room.
Yeah, obviously, we've both looked at it from different sides of the coin here, being a player and getting to see some of your friends not make it to the season after all you've been through. I mean, some of these guys get drafted, and you can see the Colts. They got three or four guys going out the door that they got drafted. So some of these guys get drafted. There's very high expectations. Your family, in some cases, they move to where you play. You have wives, girlfriends, kids that have to move. You go there and play. You put your whole blood, sweat, and tears into it. Next thing you know, it wasn't good enough. And as for a player who was never cut during the preseason, I saw so many of these things happen. I saw so many of the locker cleanouts. It's a really tough time in the NFL, and it's a time where some of the stars on the team really have to take a step back, get some perspective, and empathize with the guys on their team. Because look, they tell you at the beginning, this team won't look the same in August, and at the end of the year, it won't look the same. Well, that's the case, and it's no more real than yesterday at 4 or 5 p.m. When these rosters got to 53. So as a player, you have to look at it one of two ways. One way is I got to go get another job because I'm clearly not going to be able to cut it. And there's some guys like we saw in Denver in their third quarterback situation, Jarrett Stidham. I do have the skill set to play in the National Football League. I am a guy. So kudos to people with both of these mindsets, either or. But I would encourage guys to stick it out. And there's a lot of good names out there, Mike, and we're going to get into these names here in a second. Cut-down days are hard, but now this is the squad. This is the space shuttle is leaving now, and nobody's getting on, nobody's coming off. We are going into outer space together. The 53 of us plus staff, that's what's going to happen.
That's the thing. It was always going to get 53. It is a sad day for those who don't make it, but it's also a happy day for a lot of people that weren't necessarily thinking they were for sure going to be on rosters. Yep. So kudos to them as well. Some notables here from Cut Day. A lot of vet wide receivers going out the door, whether it's Noah Brown for Houston, who to me was the most notable, was the most biggest surprise of anyone. Man had 173 yards in a game just last year when they had some injuries at the wide receiver position. Really came on strong for them. See where he ends up. A lot of Dallas fans want him back. That was obviously where he was prior to Houston. Kadarius Toney, not much of a surprise there, but they gave up some draft capital for him a couple years ago. Never quite figured it out. Allen Robinson with the Giants. If you can't make this Giants wide receiver depth chart, that might be
a shame.
That might be the end of the road for him.
That's a shame.
Tim Patrick, Denver, a surprise release after he finally looked healthy after 2 straight years of injuries. He already got swooped up by the Detroit Lions. Obviously, Puka Nakua's brother cut from the New Orleans Saints. Some other notables, Lewis Seen, former first rounder only 2 years ago, probably the biggest, draft capital sort of cut. He obviously that rookie year though, big knee injury, never fully recovered from that, already out the door in Minnesota after only 2 seasons as their first rounder. I think that might have been one of Quessie's first picks. Desmond Ridder, who the Cardinals just traded for this offseason, gave up Rondale Moore to go get him. He's out the door in Arizona, unfortunately.
Social media is brutal, by the way. I sent you some memes
Unfortunately.
yesterday. It was our guy Desmond Ritter doing an ad campaign for, I believe it was DoorDash or Grubhub.
Nothing wrong with DoorDash.
They
got a
showed
second
him in like
income
a
now.
Honda Element delivering pizzas, and I was like, this is brutal. This is what Twitter is now. It's just going to ridicule these guys. But, they're humans too. So Desmond Ritter and all these guys, good luck to them. It's a shame. And for guys like Allen Robinson, who are at the end of the road, hopefully he can find maybe a team that needs that veteran presence. And then, some of these names we may never see again. Bailey Zappi, a guy who was a starting quarterback. People were calling for him to be the guy in New England not too long ago. So things change quickly.
Some surprises, but more often than not, if these guys, the veteran guys that are getting cut, there's a reason. It's not. It's sometimes like the first year guys that get cut and get onto practice squads, there's still hope for whatnot. But a lot of times when you're a vet and you've had your shot, you've been around the block, and it's not working out.
I am who I am, and I ain't going to change for yous.
Better way of putting it than what I said. There you go.